Hello, let's continue with the acts. In the previous one, we have seen the acts of 1773 to 1853. These are before the Crown Rule. In 1773, we have seen the Regulating Act. The Executive Council and the Governor General of Bengal was made, and subordinates of Bombay and Madras presidencies were made under Governor General of Bengal. And 1781, the Supreme Court was deprived of powers, and in 1784 Pitt's India Act, the board of directors and court of directors were made for seeing the commercial and the administrative activities. Then 1784, then we have 1786. The 1786 Lord Cornwallis became the Governor General of Bengal. Here, the first Governor General of Bengal is the Warren Hastings, Lord Warren Hastings. Here, Lord Cornwallis introduced the concepts of overriding the Executive Council powers, and Commander in Chief power was given to Lord Cornwallis. And then we have 1786, then we have 1793. 1793, we had the powers were extended to all the governor generals. And then let's take a new page. The 1793 Act. The 1793 Act, all the governor generals were given the overriding powers of Cornwallis, and then the board of directors were paid from the Indian revenue. And then the 1793, these are the things. And is there something else in 1793? That's it. Yeah, and they were given 20 years more extension. That is in 1793. And then in 1813, they were taken the monopoly, and the monopoly was left with only with tea and trade with China. And then tax were introduced, and the sovereignty was claimed over the British territory. I mean, over the Indian territories, which are under control of East India Company. And this is one. Uh, then we have 1833. Here, the Governor General of Bengal was converted into Governor General of India. William Bentinck became the Governor General of India. And then we have the then what did we do? Yeah, the powers of uh, the governors of Bombay and Madras presidencies were completely taken, and the I think that's it in 1833. And then we had 1853. In this 1853, the for the first time, the executive council was made to two types, that is legislative council and the uh, executive council. The this legislative council was added with 6 members, and the local representation was considered. And mm that's it in the 1853. After this, 1858 was the act. Now, the Act of 1858, the Government of India Act 1858. In this, the 1858, in this, the Good Government of India Act 1858 was introduced, and in this, the crown, the British crown was considered as the majesty, and the East India Company was completely avoided, removed. And then we have this the introduction of Viceroy. Yeah, Viceroy was introduced instead of Governor General of India. The Governor General of India was replaced with Viceroy, and Lord Canning became the first Viceroy of India. And the Secretary of State was made, and the Secretary of State is the British mm, Parliament member. And this Secretary of State has 15 members, and which are advisory council. These 15 members come under advisory council. These are present in the Act of 1858, the Government of India Act 1858. Then we have 1861, the Indian Council Act 1861. In this 1861, the for the first time, uh, the powers of presidencies of Bombay and Madras were given back, and the for the first time, Indians were considered for lawmaking. And the legislative councils uh, for were extended for northwest provinces, and for Punjab and for Bengal. And these are the features of Indian Act 1861, Indian Council Act 1861. Then we have uh, then we have 1892. Yes, 1892. No, we still have things in 1861. I think the viceroy was given the option of ordinance in 1861. Then the viceroy also had the option of making the business, that is the act making process easy, that is business for act making easy by the viceroy. And I think these are the things in 1861. Then we have 1892. In this 1892 was the Indian Council Act. In this, the non-official majority over the provinces and the central legislative councils were increased, but the official majority was maintained by the officials, British officials. And then the provincial legislative, the nominations were considered for provincial legislative council and the central legislative council. Provincial legislative council, it was considered by the governor, whereas for the central legislative council it is considered by viceroy. And then the for the first time indirectly these nominations are considered as part of voting, but election word was not used in the act. And this are the and the legislative councils also got an opportunity to discuss budgets and have answer the questions of executive in 1892. Then we have the Indian Council Act 1909. In this 1909, we have the this act is also called Morley-Minto reforms. Morley is the Secretary of State and Minto is the Viceroy. And in this act introduced the separate electorate for Muslims, and it also improved the increased the official majority for the provincial legislative councils, but maintained the British maintained the official majority with themselves in the central legislative council. And then the the act also the act also introduced the concept of Indians, like Indians were introduced, like associated with the executive council for the first time in the act of 1909. I think these are the uh, features of act of council of India Act 1909. And in this Morley Minto is considered as the father of communal electorate.